Hey guys, Ralph here, and welcome to True Power. Hang on. Apple and grape. True Power Trumpet Fitness on this magnificent Monday, Martin Luther King Day. Life's good, guys. Life is good. Crazy busy day. This is quite late for me to get this up, but whatever it may be. And barely played a note. Have done some kettlebell, played a lot. Had a lot of students. Did play in those lessons, but hardly what you could say a warm up. Anyway, I was talking with a friend of mine, emailing, and we got on the subject of Doc. And I went and looked at that documentary, Never Too Late, and I stumbled across this interview he did about it. Him and Chris Bodie were talking about it, and it's very interesting. I'll leave it down below. But reminded me of a quote from the great Mel Broyles, and I'll get to that in a second. But it's again, the admiration I have for this guy, as we all have for this guy, is just off the charts. So anyway, let me honk, and we will take it from there. Anyway, life is just so much easier when you don't have to warm up. So anyway, again, Doc and the admiration society that we all have for him. Again, I was emailing back and forth with a contributor. I consider him a friend at this point. And we're talking about Doc. This, that, and did you hear this story and all that sort of stuff. But again, as I just got through saying, I went back and watched that documentary again, and which, if you haven't seen it, it's called It's Never Too Late. It's right there on YouTube. You don't have to be Netflix or anything like this. It's right there. And it is very interesting. And not only did I find it interesting, I admired the way Doc was just so open about the whole thing. Jump cuts, sorry. Anyway, what a wonderful musical life he's lived. I mean, extraordinary life. But it wasn't always roses. It just wasn't. There was some ups and downs. But the thing, as I said many times, just floors me, is the amount of work that he put into it. Now, I say many times, for just the chops, you don't need hours and hours and hours. But to get that virtuosi technique that he had in all levels of genres, you know, his Carnival of Venice is Stagers-esque. I mean, on and on. Turned himself into quite a good jazz soloist, even though it wasn't as innate in him as it was for somebody like, you know, Clifford Brown or something like that. I mean, just the amount of work that he put in. 4 wives later, drugs, alcohol, all in the documentary. Very interesting. But again, the amount of work, and while I'm listening to this, I'm not sure if I ever said this, but it made me think of a discussion I was having with Mel Broyles way back in the day, okay? And I forgot what it was. We were discussing something that he did on the Tonight Show. I don't remember. But we're going back and forth, and Doc knew Mel Broyles. They were quite friendly. When Mel Broyles first moved to New York, back to New York from Philadelphia, he didn't get the Met right away, so he was freelancing. And even when he did get the Met, he would still do the lucrative studio stuff, okay? Which they were quite close. You know, hang out between gigs and all that sort of stuff. Anyway, he used to say, Ace, Doc was not always this double C guy that you hear today. He turned himself into that by hard work. He says, in fact, when we used to go into the studios together and I would show up, Doc would move over. In other words, he would move over a seat and let Mel play first. Now, what a cool thing to play the trumpet that well that Doc Severn takes one look at you and moves over. I mean, that to me is just so cool. But the thing about it was, Mel was not in any way, shape, or form beating his chest and telling you, hey, he'd move over when I came in. No. He was just the admiration and reverence even Mel Broyles had for the amount of work that this guy did is just extraordinary. Just extraordinary. And everybody's got a story. Everybody's got a story. I mean, DeLieber, who played lead with him for many years, talks about, just incessantly, practicing in bathrooms and hallways and you get to the theater at a certain time, how many hours before the show, and Doc's already been there and just warming up. I mean, just killing it. Now, here's also the thing. And I stand by this. If all it was hard work, I'd be right there with him. Because I don't know anybody back in the day that used to work harder at it than I did. But I'll tell you what, guys, it's not just hours and hours and hours slamming away the hours. Trust me, it's not. If the chops aren't right, you can do more harm than good. I mean, how many times? Well, 3 to 5 hours, and then I go do the gig. 5 hours later, and I got to go do the gig, and I felt like somebody punched me in the mouth. Guys, it's not just as simple as that. The point is, he had some, according to what we consider to be right, he had some things in place when he started. Now, I've always said, if the chops are right, the more you practice, the better you get. The better your chops get, and for the virtuoso technique, you need the hours. That's what you need, no question about it. If you want to do runs like Sandoval, guys, you have to put the hours in that Sandoval did. You just do. So, there's that. But, once again, so the point is, there's something going on with the chops, and I can almost guarantee it was the tongue. Because if you listen to his Carnival of Venice, and I'm not going to put it down there, you can go get it if you want, I've done it before. If you listen to that, those notes pop. The tongue was absolutely in the right spot. Now, he studied with Benny Baker, which was tighten the corners and relax the middle, which to my way of thinking is completely bass-ackwards. It's firm up the middle with the tongue and relax the corners, okay? But if his tongue is in the right place, he was doing a version of that. He was absolutely doing a version of that. And I really and truly believe the hours and hours and hours ultimately was used or needed, for lack of a better term, because they were so tight from when he started. Hours later, they were nice and relaxed, and he's Doc Severinsen again. But I have seen videos of him where he does a clinic, and he would literally do a version of his warm-up at the clinic. And he started, first notes of the day. And guys, he does not sound like anything we're going to emulate. First, I mean, it was just pure, right chops, something right. I think it was the tongue, right tongue position, and just hard work. And an unbelievable amount of talent and I mean, the whole ball of wax. So anyway, enough of that. But Doc, oh my God, I don't know one trumpet player. You know, his tone might not be your cup of tea or whatever the case may be, but I don't know any trumpet player that speaks ill of him. There's a reverence about him, and he makes himself accessible. He really does. As busy as he is, he'll answer questions. He'll sign autographs. I mean, I can't begin to. Whenever I do something on Doc, everybody, I get at least 5 to 10 emails of I saw Doc when, and it's something very nice that he's doing for somebody, giving a kid a trumpet a lesson or whatever. It's just, God bless him is all I can say. God bless him. Anyway, that's that, guys. Eat and drink your fruits and vegetables and live your life with true power. Love you all.